It'd be nice if I had a glass of water.
Welcome to the Offspace podcast. It's your host with the motherfucking most, True Golfer.
And it's your favorite co-host, Ezego Offer.
Coming to you live from the 305. We're in Miami right now. You know what I'm saying? We just got done fucking with Ross at one of his local shows.
Man, you know, Ross goes crazy. I'm just happy that he invited us out. You know,
or nobody.
Backstage. This nigga didn't hit us up. You got to keep it up at least for a little bit. You can't fade on me right then and there.
But oh, look at this nigga looking suave. Did you see a bitch today?
Put up.
Ooh, pants check.
You know, I had to come out and drip for a second. I feel like I've been getting appreciate you, DJ.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
I feel like I've been getting way too caught up on the quarantining mentality when it comes to like dressing and shit, man. Like I haven't been coming out in the fits like I wanted to and doing shit. So like honestly, even if I'm not doing anything besides recording the podcast, I'm going to have some fun and be me while doing it. So here I am.
Yeah. And guess what? I came dripless. Like no drip in sight. I have some sweatshorts on and a shirt from the company I used to work at.
You don't even need more though.
You know what I'm saying? All I know is I'm good at math. Good at counting these ones. Not, I was going to say hundreds and thousands, but not.
Yeah, good at counting the 17 ones.
The 17 ones. You feel me?
You ever walked around up to 20?
Bro, you ever felt, obviously now it's different because of the fact that we're grown-ups and you know that a meal costs this much at this point. Like if you go to certain restaurants, but do you remember when you used to feel rich holding like 31s? Bro, like you felt like you had a wad of cash
on everything. On everything. 15 years old, me and the homies pulling up to Taco Bell, knowing damn well that all I have is $20 in my pocket, but that 20 felt like 100. It felt so nice back then. 100 felt like 1,000.
When mom and dad used to sauce me up with the a la carte money at Macintosh, bro, I used to always get like, they'd give me like 20, 30 bucks, and I would just go straight to the little cookies lady in the morning. And I would buy a cookie and I would tell her to give me all my shit back in ones. And I would just wait to walk around like I really had bread, bro. I was a loser, like so much of a loser. I don't know why. Like there's certain stories I tell from high school that really like, it almost bugs me, and not bugs me because I appreciate everybody and I'm happy for my experiences, but it's so confusing to me, the fact that I was cool. Like, cause that's lame. That's so lame. Like, nigga bust down to 30, bro. Bust down to 30. Who was I splitting that with? Were me and my partners about to eat off the 30? Back then.
The thing is, though,
back then.
To be completely honest with you, $30 is going a long way when you're a kid. Now you're trying to go out to eat, and the cheap food, I remember cheap food back in the day felt like $5, right? Now when I'm going out to eat, cheap meals like 10, 12 type. It's like that's the casual, that's the regular. Like if I'm balling out or something, I might, for myself, obviously I'm not taking a date out and we're spending $10. If that's the case, but that's not really what it is anymore.
No, for sure. But away from all of that, how was your last week?
My week's been good, man. For the 80 millionth time I've said that, my week's been good. I donated blood for the first time, and actually funny story with that. So I'm not actually
going to... cheapest nigga.
No. I'm not going into why I donated the blood, because to be fair, that's my own problems. That's my own issues. You know, I'll leave it at the fact that I wanted to help the people. And so...
This nigga a liar. The first thing we're doing is lying on the podcast.
But yeah, so... Because, to be fair, I don't know if that's the space to talk about this.
For sure, go hard.
However, when I went in, you know, obviously my first time giving blood, and I'm the type of dude, when I see... Even for like blood samples and shit, for getting like STD tested or doing any type of blood work, whatever, I look at my shit and I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I start getting queasy. That's how I knew I wasn't made to be a surgeon. Like it's just me and blood don't agree like that. So, you know, she could already kind of tell this and how I was nervous like coming into the fact. So she's chatting it up with me, trying to make sure that I'm comfortable. You know, first off, yes, but and just going through the steps to make sure I was comfortable. And I remember even like when it started or whatever, she was trying to have a conversation with me the whole time, so to keep my mind off of it. And I recognized what she was doing, but I was like, you know, I appreciate it. But that aside, she started making a joke, right? So she said, "Oh, your first time getting blood drawn, and this is my first time doing it." I was like, what?
I never want... No. Let me go ahead and say this to the camera. This could be you fresh off of the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just left medical school. Like, they're just letting you... I don't know exactly where. I think you do that earlier, like, while you're learning, etc. A lot of the times, they'll make you draw blood from people in practice, and that's cool. I never want to know your status. I never want to know if you were new. I never want to know if you were a student. I never know what you are. Because if you are in that room putting a needle into me, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to tell myself you've done this for 30 years. You're
every time. She told me, even, I said, I get it. You're new. I started saying, I bet. She goes, yeah, and if I am, do I not deserve to get practice? And so in my mind, I'm looking at her like, are you fucking serious?
I don't think that's not me.
I told her, I was like, you can't get practice, just do it with somebody else. And I'll just be completely frank. That's what I told her. I was like, I'm not trying to have you practice on me. And she's like, no, I'm just kidding. This isn't my first time. I was like, yeah, I know. Don't worry. So now I'm sweating. But so I'm treating myself. I'm like, whatever. We're going to be good. So she starts the process. And as soon as she puts the needle into me, because keep in mind, I've done like, again, blood work and shit. As soon as she puts it into me, I'm feeling a little bit more pain than usual. I'm feeling a little something off. And so I'm like, well, this don't feel normal. And then I just, out of the corner of my eye on my peripherals, I peep her signaling to the other person to come over and help her with something. So in my mind, I'm like, what? And so the other person's not even sugarcoating it. She's like, oh, you need me to pull some magic? I said, what magic on who? Fix me. What's going on right now? And she goes, yeah, no, don't worry. This is just normal. Sometimes things happen. I'm like, okay. The person comes over and the other lady does like an adjustment and everything goes well after. But in my mind, I was thinking, I'm really the nigga that's about to just bleed out trying to get blood and everything's about to go bad right now. Like, I didn't even make it to 30. This is really how my end is, but it was all successful. Thanks be to God for that. But past that, I've just been playing a lot of chess and kind of found a love for that again. So it's been a fun week.
Oh, we about to start taking y'all's niggas money too. Just give my nigga a little bit of time. I'm about to start setting the games up. No worries. But a funny story actually to go into just like giving blood and shit like that a little bit is I had to give blood a lot just because like, not give blood, but have my blood drawn a lot just because I don't know if it's regular, but it's regular at least at the office, well, at the hospital that I go to, that they draw your blood every single month before you can get like your ADD medicine, right? And so they were drawn, so it was just pretty routine for me. There was a certain point where they didn't the lady didn't ask me the typical question I was used to, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm pussy, like it's whatever, like needles are one of the things that scares me on this planet. Cool. Everything else, I'm not even afraid of the blood, nothing else. It's literally the needle. And so she was like, she never gave me my comfort question. Because all of them always ask, like, would you like the butterfly needle or would you like the regular needle? And so she was just ready to go hard. She was like, all right, strap up. And I'm sitting there looking like, where's the butterfly needle? What's down? What you talking about? She looked at me, she said, oh, you, how old are you? And I was like 25 at the time. And she was like, oh, so you made it to 25 years and you still fell for this same trick. And I'm like, what trick? She's like, the butterfly needle and the regular needle are literally the exact same needle, except one has the little shit on it so that little kids feel more comfortable when they get their blood drawn. And I was so butthurt. I was like, damn, y'all niggas scammed me my whole life.
Bro, I feel like you just didn't listen at home because mom told us this shit.
Really?
Like the longest. And so in my mind, I'm just thinking that if I'm going, I'm just getting a needle stuck into my shit.
I swore, I was like, ooh, y'all are using less pressure, the butterfly needle. But
spicy.
But just for me for this past week, it's been chill, it's been cool. I've been on, which if you guys don't follow us on Instagram, definitely go follow us on Instagram at the Offspace podcast. But we definitely put out an announcement today to give everybody a little bit of a heads up, because for a long spree of time, like when we started taking this shit a little bit more seriously as a unit, right? We were cranking out posts damn near every single day, doing at least 3 videos a week, just like really cranking out content. And for the past few weeks, other than the audio, right, for the podcast episode, we've kind of just been ghost on y'all. And just because I made a video on Instagram doing the same, I'm gonna make sure to do it here, just so all of our fans, all of our bases are covered. It's definitely my fault, not Esgo's fault. Like, we do make jokes here, but for the most part, when it goes into this podcast, we like to carry a pretty even load, right? Like, we're definitely always researching, we're always working, we're always trying to push forward. And that's something about being in a partnership with your brother or somebody that actually cares about you. At the end of the day, it's still a business. And so one of the things that kept running through my mind is, I'm not just fucking myself up right now, I'm fucking my brother up. Like, somebody I really do love and care about, because this is our baby, this is our egg. Like, this is something that we really want to nurture and like watch grow. And so I definitely want to thank him. So thank you, Esgo, for being patient with me, because you do realize that life happens and sometimes you do hit those lows where you lose motivation, but it's about how you bounce back from that shit. Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all or hold y'all at all, like, I don't know if it sounded like that in the recent episodes or anything, but I've definitely been going through it mentally for the past few weeks, just to be real. But everybody does. And it's not to undermine me, but just to point out the fact that we all go through different battles, we all go through different shit, but it's about not how we look while we're going through it and just like wrapped up in the cocoon in your room and not really leaving, not really talking to people. But it's about how we shimmy back into position and we get it popping, because life's always going to throw some bullshit at you every day, every month, every week. Man. Like no matter how good it is, something is always going to come for you, and it's always how you can handle it once somebody does attempt to test your jaw.
And this is important because I feel like, going on what you said, you know, we're human beings, bro. At the end of the day, every day is a fight, like in some capacity. And it might be a fight it might be a fight on easy mode. It might be a fight on hard mode. It's like we look at it physically. Every day as humans, we do certain things to sustain our life. We have to eat, we have to drink water, we have to like do whatever to keep ourselves physically alive. But past that, we neglect so much when it comes to our mental and our spirit to put the active work in to make sure that those stay in check too, because there's always ups and downs for you physically, mentally, spiritually. But how can you keep yourself to where you're at least maintaining a certain space to where you're going to be on an uptrend eventually? And I feel like a lot of people, when you get put into these like lows, when you get put into these spaces, end up letting themselves kind of succumb to that and like wallow in that time, to where they end up neglecting things that keep them above water, right? So if you're not doing the things that keep you above water, how do you ever expect to come out of it? Damn. Even if it's a struggle at that time and it's harder than normal, that could be exponentially harder. I'm not trying to say like slightly harder. It could be leagues harder. You still have to force yourself to do whatever shit that is. You have to force yourself to still be the person that you want to be. Otherwise, you're always going to be in that pit. So if you let yourself live in that, it could be a month, it could be a week, shit, it could be years, it could be a decade, like it could be however long it is. You just have to realize though that if you don't make the active effort to come out of it, you're not going to snap out of it.
And I'm actually going to build on that point, actually, player. Like it's funny to me just because this has been a year where I've been trying to learn to my best ability. Mm-hmm. And if y'all, like, we have good conversation all the time, don't get me wrong, but like it is a little bit of a shorter docket today with great combo. Don't get it twisted, but we're definitely going to talk on here for a minute. Always, that's the nature of the Offspace, but it is something that I've kind of been working on this whole year in general, and some of y'all may have heard me reference on other episodes when it comes to being kind to yourself and being patient with yourself. And so it's kind of a weird area, and I'll use a quote from Nip, just like off of a song. Shouts out to the God himself, but he said, "There's ups and downs for a real nigga, but you'll be lame all your life, hater." Just talking to people that, you know, kind of talk down the struggle, talk down the journey, and also identifying the fact that this was a man that I look up to the point that y'all know, tatted on my skin. Mm-hmm. And he talks about in every single interview that you watch with Nipsey Hussle, and every single time he opens his mouth to talk about the journey, to talk about the fact that he's cried, he's been pissed off, he's been low, he's been depressed like everybody else when it comes to this. The only thing that separated him from the pack was he watched, as you run this marathon and you run this race, he's watched a ton of people bow out because of what they're going through and not keep pushing and keep moving forward. So that's something that I've had to learn how to control the best with myself, with how I handle getting knocked down. Because a lot of the times getting knocked down kind of catches me with, it's like somebody just sneaks you, you know what I'm saying? Like sneaks a punch to your face, and you just get shocked. You just get sit back. And it's funny because in real life, that situation is much different than, you know, it's funny. It's weird to me just because of how certain situations will affect me versus how other situations will affect me. But not for the sake of not rambling on too long, I definitely want us to get into our heat checks and into music and get into everything else that everybody looks forward to each week. I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for being patient, and definitely thank you to this guy for basically bearing with me. And because I know every single day that you want us to be propelled forward and you want to push forward these goals, just like I want to too. You know my true heart and my true intention when it comes to this shit. So truly, as somebody who loves me, I know a piece of your grievances, obviously while you were being patient, a piece of the grievances probably came from the fact that you realize this isn't even how I want to operate. You know what I'm saying? Like you want better for people, you want people to like continue pushing forward, continue fighting, and to be the best versions of themselves. So I'm going to try every day to continue to show you that, continue to show the world that, but on more importantly than everything, and this is something that people need to write down and make sure that you always remember, is to show yourself that, because you deserve the best version of you. Like working out every day is cool, and I'm happy that I've been able to at least stay up on that tip, but I mean, like, there's different variables to being your best self and keeping yourself in that mode. So without further ado, what is your heat check for this week?
My heat check for this week is actually something that I've been listening to for months. I just never felt like, for the sake of the podcast, that was the need of me to putting it out there for a heat check. Mm-hmm. However, especially with the fact that I still think it's a banger at this point, and I feel like this person's going to end up having an actual career in music. I feel like it's important because there's a lot of people that haven't heard the song too yet. So my heat check is Moonwalking Calabasas remix by DDG featuring Blueface. And I'm not going to lie, it goes stupid. Obviously, I hate putting people in a box because I know I hate when people put me in a box, right? And so DDG, I guess if you don't know, whatever, was a YouTuber who decided he wanted to make music. And like a lot of people look at certain things like you can only be what you are, and it's going to be hard to pop out of a realm, especially when people see you a certain way, right? Mm-hmm. But with this song, it's kind of shown that fuck what people think about me, I make good music, so y'all are going to take notice. And it's on a couple of those Spotify playlists that are out there if y'all tap into those and care enough. But yeah, definitely go check it out. It's a vibe. I feel like Blueface's second verse, the man kind of just floated. The shit was insane.
Blueface, baby. Yeah, I
think the music will speak for itself, but definitely check that out before it gets too cold.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And for me, my heat check for the week, which is going to go into a project that I'm going to break down a little bit because it's been the main source of music for me for this week. Mm-hmm. So after I do this, I'm going to let Ezgo run down singles.
I'm going to let you go a little bit more than that as I get all this kind of like going.
But this Doeboy and Southside, the producer, for those who don't know, since I know there are a lot of people on here that don't pay attention to, production credits and just like people doing things. But Doeboy, he put out a tape with Southside, and that tape is one of the hardest things I've heard all year. Oh my God. But the song Get In There, featuring 42 Dugg and Babyface Ray, my fucking goodness, nigga. Like, this nigga pulls like, niggas like to talk about the baby not waiting for the beat to start, bro. The beat had a second to smell life, and then Doeboy just starts it off, rapper baby mama in the crib getting her back broke. What?
Baby mama in the crib getting her back, bro. That's tough. I like it.
What? How the fuck, bro? You know how many niggas baby mamas are at the crib getting their back broke right now, and they have no clue. They have no clue, bro. Like, that shit is a tragedy, bro. Travesty.
The thing is,
motherfuckers going through it.
You think instinctively somewhere in their brain they know?
Oh, they know.
But they don't. They just don't want to believe it. It's like, it's happening again, isn't it?
Like this is something we'll be vulnerable about just because like niggas don't like to admit certain things, but we do on the Offspace. Mm-hmm. I give y'all all the real. Like, a real nigga definitely knows when his queen's getting her cheeks smashed.
9 times out of 10, you're not the only nigga.
You're like, a lot of the times you have to realize you're not the only nigga. Like,
even when it's exclusive.
Like, even if you have a little crush on somebody, even if you like somebody, even if you like this boom boom boom. Like, one thing that men for sure, women super for sure as well, so I'll say everybody need to pay attention to is where you are in this nigga's starting five, or where you are in this woman's starting five. Because, like, genuinely speaking, you could be like 4th string, 3rd string. You could be sitting pretty. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You could definitely still be a top 5 player. You could be a part of her starting lineup, like, cool. But you could be like the 3rd or 4th option, right? Mm-hmm. And you could catch little feelings for shorty, right? Thinking like, oh, okay, we have a chance, blah, blah, blah. But if you didn't reckon, but you're sitting there thinking you're the all-star. You're sitting there thinking that you're the franchise player. You're about to get a contract. You're about to be able to work on your relationship. And then you start seeing how she moved, and you realize, damn, I'm not as high up there as I want. So you just either gotta A, work harder so you can get that franchise spot, or B, you gotta just throw it up to the game, enjoy the cheeks that you get to clap when you do, and then keep it pushing. Keep it pushing.
I feel like some people have way too much confidence in like their game when it comes to like sleeping with people, right? Mm-hmm. While neglecting the fact that there's so much more when it comes to an actual relationship.
Exactly.
Like, you can have the most fire sex with somebody. It doesn't mean they want to date you.
Like, if we want to just, like, keep things black and white, like, I've had a woman tell me, like, straight up that, this was years ago, but I've had a woman tell me straight up that I was definitely the best dick she's ever had in her life. And don't get me wrong, like, I wasn't trying to date shorty either. Like, so let's just be frank. But she was somebody that I had a friends with benefits situation going on, cool. The way she was talking about the sex, I knew there was nobody else that was about to be able to take this from me. She was like 2nd or 3rd string, you know what I'm saying?
So
like,
no matter what, I'm 6th man of the year.
But I was like, I'm 6th man of the year. I'm looking crazy, bro. Like, a week or 2 later, shorty was in a whole relationship. Like, I promise y'all, like, this is why, and this goes into a deeper conversation and deeper topic, and it's the funniest part to me, where niggas think that sex is going to be able to salvage their relationships, or the women, just flipping it around because we have to speak on both sides, that truly think that they're going to trap a man because of the box or trap a man because of the head or something like that. There are so many levels to a relationship, and we are in the most free sexual like time in history, to the point that if you really wanted to go find good sex, you can really go find good sex. Not as difficult as motherfuckers want to act, but the hard thing to find is a good partner. Yeah. And so you're definitely going to sacrifice a little bit of this every single time to find a good partner that you can just work on that with.
I'm about to say, you know it's all about what you want for that overall rating.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The box, the dick, it all could be 99, right? But if the rest isn't clicking to the point where that person's a 66 overall for you, you're gonna go with the 80. Even if their shit's in 78 in certain categories, you're gonna go with that 80 overall.
Bro, I've had girls that give like the best head I've ever gotten in my life, who, and y'all, like, I've gone on this podcast speaking about how much I love that aspect of sex, right? Who we frankly knew that we weren't gonna date each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's looking like FIFA sliders where motherfuckers will have like 90 pace and like 30 everywhere else. Like,
defending is 30. You can't defend the title,
but you can't defend the title with just one thing that is high in that category for me. Yeah. Just like if I don't have all the things that check out for you, I wouldn't expect you to date me either. That's why a lot of the times when you're looking for a partner, you got to clear them goggles. You got to take the dickmatized away, or like being mesmerized by the pussy, and realize, hey, do I actually like this person? Because a lot of us get into fucked up situations where it's just fueled by sex.
I'm not gonna lie, past like the first person I had sex with, I feel like I never got put in that situation again though, because it was always, I recognized there was more to it. So maybe this moment is good, maybe this is good, but I'm not ever gonna let myself trip up and get feelings because I had sex with you. Like, because that's just weird to me. Because then you're ruining you and somebody else's life for a little bit.
Exactly, bro. You just got to be real. And obviously, I'm going to leave that conversation at that because of where it could go.
I would say, I've been tiptoeing on breadcrumbs, not trying to say much at all with certain things.
For sure. But speaking of that, you wanted me to get into the Doeboy project before you speak on the singles?
I guess I can go ahead and get into some singles.
For sure.
I feel like a lot of music I've been listening to hasn't been project based. I do want to mention actually a few things from past before I do go into actually the singles and stuff, actually, now that it came to the top of my head. But there was some Vince Staples. I was watching some interviews and stuff with him, and just hearing his takes on certain things and his reflection on his music. And these are from interviews past. But where I am in 2020, it made me go back and kind of redigest Prima Donna. And I already like Big Fish Theory a lot, but there were certain songs on it that just weren't clicking with me. I feel like I gained a genuine I can't speak right now. Gained a genuine appreciation for those projects and the songs I didn't like in particular now, because I guess my acceptance of what certain artists can do in the realm of music, past like their actual genre and past what I'm expecting to hear, it just clicks so much more. So Prima Donna is actually kind of nice.
I loved it when it came out.
I already loved Big Fish Theory, but even the songs I didn't like on it, I kind of vibe with a lot more now. So definitely go ahead and check those out again. But past that, the singles I have for this week, obviously, I got to shout out that brown boy with the bag, you feel me?
Yes, sir, Ski.
That boy Nav.
Which Nav had a really, really, really good project. I've listened to probably like 5 or 6 songs off of it, but I've heard nothing but great things. And so I wanted to go ahead and say that first, just because of the fact that I'm not going to really be breaking down the album, because I haven't given it a full listen to. But definitely know that Nav did drop music for motherfuckers that are checking for that shit too.
Yeah. I'm going to give the full album and stuff a listen to, but the song in particular that is going to be the one that has the most traction right now is Young Weezy with Gunna. Shit is a slapper. I feel like people for some reason wanted to hate on Nav because I guess there was other people in that realm of whatever sound he has that they enjoyed more. And if you're not the top nigga, no one likes you for some fucking reason. Get over yourselves. There's plenty of good music and all things fade and time goes on. So you like diversity, like a lot of different people to go to. So Nav makes great fucking music, and it did not start here. Shout out to Gunna on that shit too. The Kid Leroy and NBA Youngboy had a fucking song.
Slapper. You like NBA Youngboy, Mr. Krabs?
I'm not saying shit, man. I'm not saying shit. I know I was gonna get baited here, but I vibe with the song, so I don't dislike him. I just don't listen to his music a lot like that. But the features are always going crazy on songs.
Is top 5 album of the year for you?
Man, no, nigga. Dude, what you want me to say? People should go listen to it.
I love him. Yeah,
if you like him, go listen to it.
I know that's where we differ a little bit, but go hard.
But it's funny that you say that, man. Genuinely. Past that, last week I threw a heat check at y'all. Memphis Part 2 from AG Club, and they dropped another song, Columbia, that is fire. The music video is funny as fuck and quality too. I don't know why these young collective of people, it feels like I want to leave them their own identity, so I'm not going to compare them to anybody right now. Actually, I was about to, but I'm not. But it just feels like everybody in this group is talented because they have a videographer. Apparently, they got dope ass rappers. They got
producers, engineers.
Yeah, creative individuals like fuck when it comes to just
love their
making
energy.
All this come out here.
Love their energy. Seem like a solid group of young men. And I know I won't leave you to say it. I'll say it myself. It's not a comparison to, but it's just kind of the feeling I get listening to their music, like Memphis Part 2, because that was the first place I was introduced to them personally. It just gives me that like 2011, 2012 like ASAP Mob vibe, like the feeling.
Yeah,
like the feeling. I just want to say that because they're very different, but it makes you like because
that song does. But then there's other songs that make me think like it feels like them and Odd Future had like a love child or some shit, right?
Because like you think about the fact that we all grew up in different generations, right? Like there's definitely old niggas that'll talk about Tribe or talk about Mobb Deep, talk about the Lox, just like so many different like collectives or duos, whatever, that gave them a certain feeling, right? Obviously 26 and 23, like so our is going to shift, but a lot of those like hype group feelings, you know, for people our age, it's going to be like an Odd Future, it's going to be an ASAP Mob. And so it's especially when it comes to pivotal years in our lives where we were growing up and really absorbing this shit for the feeling too. And so being able to see, because we did just run through a string, at least me, because I'm not as familiar as you may be, run through a string of AG clubs like music videos, and those motherfuckers have a different vibe for everything, right?
It's
but that
crazy.
Memphis Part 2 vibe, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, if these niggas gave me an album of that, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, what? I'd rush to buy that shit. I'd need that shit to go get signed. I'd have to go get that shit signed by all of them.
I feel like it's just the fact that they'll never give you, it doesn't feel like they're ever going to give you something of just like one sound that's going to be similar all throughout the project, because their sound is just reminiscent of youthful defiance to like the norms. And and again, I'm going to mention some other names here, but I feel like this isn't like trying to put them in a box. It's just, it is what it is.
Of course.
Like their defiance to the norm and like their sound and like how it's portrayed in all these different songs being so different as opposed to even like the genres of music that are out right now reminds me of another group that we really liked at a point that we've talked about, Pantheon. But it's like they're doing it in their own unique way to such a high quality. They're definitely a group to look out for.
For surely. So shouts out to that. You got any more singles for the people?
Honestly, I was gonna put some stuff out there, but not right now. We're gonna let those ones breathe, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Chuka kind of give a little bit more of a deep dive into some of these albums and shit that have come out.
So for Nav, once again, like I don't want to like harp on his project too much just because of the fact that I didn't give it a fair all the way breakdown and listen to like I wanted to. I definitely skipped to only like the 5 or 6 songs because of the features, yes, but not discrediting Nav at all. Like I don't want to like sound like that while talking about his project, but only because of how this Doeboy project had me. Like this Doeboy project had me in a chokehold this week. Like I couldn't listen to anything else if I wanted to. Like I
described it as like it was Ronda Rousey and
Doeboy himself had a gun to my head and was just playing it all week. You feel me? Like because that's all I could do. I had no choice. That shit was so fucking tough. But like when it comes to songs on the album, Young Weezy went crazy like you were talking about, and Gunna went stupid. Gunna always goes stupid though. Like Gunna's somebody that you're always gonna look for in his project. 100%. Lil Baby went dumb on Don't Need Friends though.
It's still the year, man. It's still 2020. Until this shit at least goes to 2021. This man cannot do wrong.
It's Lil Baby's year. It's Lil Baby's year for sure. So Baby went crazy on Do Your Deed, bro. I love the little Baby drop though, because the little bop that Baby has on his shit just makes me feel like I'm so happy he had an album release party at the Georgia Aquarium for people to come to, because like Baby's music makes me feel like it makes me feel like I'm on shrooms at an aquarium, but instead of all of the glass where you see sea animals and shit like that. It's just like you have little pockets of that glass, but every other pocket is just like a big screen projector of classic anime songs. Unlike classic anime openings, but it's never the actual opening playing. It's just Saw Baby's music.
Just him.
Like that shit is awesome.
They got the little AMVs going over.
Lil Keed went crazy too. I never have to talk about Thugger on here because y'all know how I feel about that nigga. King Slime never does wrong. And so, like, definitely shouts out to Nav. The project's Emergency Tsunami. It's out now, all DSPs. But getting straight to the Doeboy project, nigga. Like, when I tell you, bro, Never Froze went crazy. Bussin' had Lil Uzi Vert talking. Like, this nigga had Future on there, had Young Nudie on there, has a song called Yes Sirski, Continue the Wave. There's so many Yes Sirskis now.
I'm not gonna
They're
lie,
all
bro.
fried.
I always see Chief Keef slipping his way. I don't want to say slipping because it almost feels like that he had to finesse. Chief Keef is a legend in this shit at this point.
For sure.
But to see him consistently on these
niggas
features, on these things is so fire to me because I'm not gonna lie. I feel like every song I hear him come on is still fire to me. So I always love seeing Sosa come in on these.
That's the dope part about hip hop for me. Just because if you establish a respected name in that genre, it doesn't matter when you drop. You could drop. And this is, once again, no disrespect to Chief Keef, because I think he's one of the pillars of this generation. So let's be very clear about where he stands in hip-hop. But it's just like, he's definitely not in his prime no more. He's definitely not in that area where niggas are looking at Chief Keef for the number one song.
And the thing is, I don't think he wants to be.
But that's important too, because he stays all the way out the way. So he definitely doesn't seem like he wants to be. But that being said, if you establish a respected name in hip-hop, like I still see artists like nowadays, right? Like if we talk about Jim Jones's project last year, or if we talk about Freeway's project in 2018, or we talk about Nav, we talk about certain people.
Not Nav, I meant to say Nas.
No, Nas's project, like certain people that aren't the most bubbling nowadays, right? But will drop a project and you'll see all of the hottest names on there. It's because if you are respected, the genre respects you, and they will always fuck with you if you have a good solid name. And that's a dope thing I love seeing for Keef. Like the standout songs to me though, like if you really just need like Trippie Redd went stupid on this project. And the funny thing is I'm never running to the Trippie Redd music. And so I loved hearing Yesterday with Trippie Redd. But Sneak Dissa featuring Young Nudie and Get In There, like I talked about for my heat check, definitely my top 2 songs on that project went crazy. Get In There is just like actual murder music. Like I need that shit going on forever. This nigga has a song called Huntin'. I don't even need to describe to you the subject matter of that song called Huntin'.
So sad.
That shit is so tough, nigga.
So sad when I'm like genuinely just vibing out and just like, this is so tough, so nasty, so crazy.
Disgusting
like,
face
makes me
on.
feel a type of way when I listen to murder music because I'm just like, I don't want niggas doing this shit. You know what I mean? I don't want people actually going out killing each other and doing all this. And I understand lifestyles and how you get roped in these things. That's not what I'm trying to say, because I'm not trying to ever really talk down on people that have put themselves in this situation because they were trying to like make ends.
This starts a good conversation,
whatever.
actually.
But because I know what we're gonna get into after, it's just some of that shit's just so undeniably good. It makes you feel a type of way. Because if you think about it like this too, the people making this kind of music that is at least effective, they really do this, right?
That's
and so when you really
part.
do this shit and you put your soul into, and when you put your soul into anything music,
You give a piece of you.
You give a piece of you. You take people to a certain place that is highlighting a story, a time, a feeling that you're trying to portray through that song. So they can't help but have a good natural reaction to it because it's coming from the heart. It's coming from the soul.
And you can tell when shit be authentic. Like I'm from Atlanta for real. Like we're from South Atlanta, like whatever. But it's like I'm never gonna act like the hardest nigga on the planet when it comes to like this street life ever. Like, yes, you have friends, you've been in places, you've seen this, you've done that, whatever. But me personally, I'm not associated with anything. I don't do any street stuff. Cool. That being said, it's just like just being enough on the perimeter to like hear people's real testimonies, real stories, like talk to people.
Shit breaks
like,
my heart, bro.
You could see but even on top of that, you can feel, even as someone like me, you could feel the authenticity. And I love that because like we were on I was on Clubhouse the other day, like in one of the rooms that Savage was in, and Savage was talking to the people about, because he was having an argument. There's a lot of things going on in that argument, right? But one of the important things to harp on is just like, he was talking about how motherfuckers always tell street rappers and street niggas not to talk about street shit when they make music. But he said if you talk to, he didn't use these names, right? But just like the example he's making, for all intents and purposes, I'm just throwing shit out there. He's like, if you talk to a Mac Miller, if you talk to a G-Eazy, if you talk to like a so-and-so about their musical experience, right? Like a Jack Harlow about their musical experience, what are they rapping about? They're rapping about shit they've actually done, shit they've actually seen, and shit they've actually gone through, right? He said if a nigga 1 month ago, like 30 days ago, was just getting shot out in the field, you know what I'm saying? Like dealing with some of the bullshit that comes from systemic racism and all the shit that people talk about with Americans. What do you think he's going to talk about when you put a mic in front of him and you have a beat going?
Bro,
he's going to talk about the real shit he's seen.
Because it sucks, because it's like in some... And I don't want this to go on like a downturn or some shit, but it's just real shit that people need to understand, especially when it comes to black people in the entertainment industry, when you're trying to portray like your truths and your story and your community and shit. A lot of black products out there are commodities that are based off of black trauma, you know? So it's kind of hard not to speak on these things, especially when that's the life that you've lived, if you're trying to be authentic to who you are, you know? At some realm, hopefully from like the motherfucker that's about to be in office and what he promises and with his constituents, change will be made to actually empower our community and, you know, lift people up in these low income areas to have a better lifestyle. So these aren't the shit that they feel like they're drawn to from the cycle of poverty. Hopefully this content matter can change. But again, like a lot of this shit is just past traumas that people speak on because that's who they are. You can't like, and it's sad when that energizes people to perpetuate that cycle, but you can't get mad at them for speaking their truth.
Exactly. You can't get mad at artists for just talking about the things they really live. But moving right on for our music section a little bit, we have some music news before we get into events and like things that are going on in the world. There are a couple things to breeze by, but I thought they'd be important enough to mention, and some stuff that you might actually just find really cool. Like one is Bad Bunny, like shouts out to the god Bad Bunny, apparently is making his acting debut as one of the cartel members in the season 3 of Narcos Mexico, which I'm so excited to see that shit because he just seems like such a genuine dude, and I want to see him portrayed in something like that because real life Bad Bunny, from what you've seen, once again, I don't know his affiliations or connections or anything like that because you never know in this music shit. The most prissy, like the most like posh, as they say, like in the UK, like this, that person in the music industry in America is 1 degree connected to the biggest gangster in the city a lot of the times. Like truly you never know, so I don't want to assume anything.
They just happen to be the lucky ones a lot of times.
Exactly. And so, but like a Bad Bunny, he seems like a dude that I would be so confused if I ever saw him hold a gun in real life. So to see him being portraying like a cartel member or shit like that is going to be really interesting to see, and I'm excited just to watch. I've always been excited about Narcos just because I love that show, but I'm super excited about season 3 of Narcos Mexico because of the fact, I think they're building on Chapo's story finally, so they're getting to that part of it, but B, we're going to be able to see Bad Bunny, so shouts out to him.
That's going to be fire, man. I'm excited to see him try and be an actor because in some realm, I'm not the most versed on Bad Bunny past like his music shit, obviously, like, you know, a lot of people, celebrities when it comes to musicians and shit, I don't really try and keep up with their everyday lives. That's just not who I am.
Exactly.
But I feel like the things I have seen, he always seems like somebody that puts a certain level of energy and like dedication towards making things come to life a certain way when it comes to creativity, when it comes to like the show, when it comes to whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like his portrayal of whatever happens is going to be so fire. It's going to be so fire, but I feel like he's going to try and put some unique twist shit to still bring Bad Bunny to it, and the director is going to be like, fuck it.
Got to. And then our next 2 bits of news, I don't want to dive into too deeply just because, like, I want to let street shit be handled in the streets, like, obviously, like, but I do want to make sure to just alert the people that may be looking out for this kind of news. YNW Melly, apparently they found a video from 2018 where he confessed to the murders of his friends in the case that he has ongoing. Once again, this is all alleged. I haven't seen any of that shit myself. I just wanted to tell you guys about that and to also say prayers out to that young man and prayers out to the family and condolences to everybody because that's a tough situation, you know, regardless of how people may feel on either side. That just sounds like something that is incredibly difficult to deal with, especially at such a young age, with somebody that was so bright and talented and looked like they had such a high ceiling in the music industry, right? Had the likes of like a Kanye West reaching out to him and shit like that off of his earliest projects that are being dropped. So you only could imagine where he'd go in the future. So once again, like prayers up to everybody in that situation, because we don't have anything confirmed. We just want to see positivity come out of it. And then another thing that happened actually in Atlanta this week, which broke my heart, like genuinely broke my heart, was RIP to King Von. The King Von shit fucked me up because apparently, like, once again, like, I haven't watched the video and I don't want to get too much into, you know, like,
don't tell me they have a video.
Like, apparently there's a video of everything, but I just want to say that, like, honestly, like, one, us killing each other, like, I'm, once again, and I never want somebody that is Blue Lives Mattering it to listen to me say these next statements and thinking I'm agreeing with y'all, because y'all's bullshit bringing up black on black violence when crime is just crime and shouldn't be given a color, because that is the way that we continue to portray systemic racism. Because if you look at the numbers, in poor areas, whites are doing the same thing, blacks are doing the same thing, Latin people, Asian people, etc. It's just proximity to people that are in need and people that are hungry. So let's just be real there. But it's just, I get so sad and tired of seeing this shit, man. Like, King Von was somebody that was a 94 baby like me. You know what I'm saying? We could have went to the same high school. I could have seen that nigga at lunch. We could have roasted each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that is just so close age-wise, just like how the Ahmaud Arbery situation fucked me up. I hate seeing people that it could have been me in that place, you know, just depending on situations, just depending on, like, if life put me in a different spot. One thing that I was happy to learn before continuing, definitely want to give condolences, prayers, and love out to his family and to all of the family and friends affected. One thing that was a positive thing to learn this week in that situation was that King Von owns every bit of his masters, so that his family will be eating for the rest of their lives off of his music. So continue to run up them streams and continue to run it up.
Now it's just putting it in the right place, talking to a financial advisor and making sure that that wealth can sustain, you know, the future generations. And life goes on, so I hope for them they find a way to carry on happily with him being gone and whatnot. And
I hope they can find peace.
I just always hate the fact of, like, yeah, give niggas their flowers while they're living, but, like, do you ever expect to have to give a nigga that's 26 his flowers while he's living? You know, in some capacity, you think to yourselves, "Oh, I'm gonna come back to that later." Like, I've heard King Von shit that's really popular, that's on, like, streaming platforms, like on the playlist and shit, with features, this, that, and the third. But some of the other things I never really heard till after he passed, right? So I'm on YouTube and I'm trying to dive into who this young man was, and I'm listening to some of these crazy stories, and I'm not gonna lie, these are some of the best things I think I've seen in the last week that I was so happy to watch.
Bro, it's
so good.
Such a bright young individual. And it's like, people like King Von, and this isn't something to boost myself in the slightest bit. This is just something to speak on one of the general missions of the Offspace, but something that I've also just made like a life mission in general. It's like, if you watch these videos, you can tell people like Lil Durk are smart as hell. People like King Von are smart as hell, but the way they talk, right, and like some of the communities they may come from, they look, the general populace looks at them a little bit differently than they look at like a me and you that grew up in like a Peachtree City, right? Or like when it comes to black people. And one of the things that I'd love to change in this world one day is the realization that just like AI did in basketball, just like Ocho Cinco did in football, and just like many before us have done in entertainment or in sports and everything, whatever, I want them to realize that I can stand in front of a podium, right, at a Senate meeting, at this, at that, right? If they brought me up to speak, I could stand up there in a beanie, a gold chain, gold teeth in my mouth, and have sweats on or whatever the fuck I want to wear, and I could be just as articulate and I can be just as smart as all the people around me in this room. Because we've seen the shittiest people in the world be dripped down in a suit. You know what I'm saying? Have a nice Rolex, have nice shoes.
Some of the most disgusting individuals.
Some of the most disgusting people. But we've seen some of the brightest, some of the nicest, some of the dopest individuals have like face tats, have like neck tats.
Jeffrey Epstein never had a girl in.
You know what I'm saying?
Never.
Like, and it's so crazy to me that people get judged so wildly. Like, you were talking about it really when you had the bank job. It's like about the fact that you put on a suit and walk into a gas station, and motherfuckers would think that you were a special person, bro, because the nigga had a suit on.
Everything was different as soon as I had on the suit. They started treating me like I was presidential. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to go clock into my 9 to 5. Like,
you know what I'm saying, bro? I'd be in the middle of the city of Atlanta, right, on Georgia State campus, just wearing my suit. Like, whenever they'd have like certain business days, if you're in any of the business schools, you've had to wear a suit too. We get that. But I'd be wearing my suit and I'd be running to like a meeting that we'd have, because sometimes they have like the little job meetings, sometimes they have like the economics club that I'm a part of meetings, like whatever, and they'll make you dress up.
Yeah.
I'll be dressing up, walking downtown, and I'll stop in like a hotel to take a piss or something, right? Same hotel that I've walked past 100 times and no one's even thought of talking to me. But the day I have a suit on, it's like, hey, how's your day going, man? Like, bro, what do you do? Like, blah, blah, blah. Just like chopping it up, asking you questions. It's like, nigga, what?
It's perception, man. And like, I feel like in some realm, our generation, I don't even feel like we need to harp on this shit, because I feel like collectively as a generation, no matter which side you're on, to be honest, when it comes to like political shit, whatever, we've just all kind of adopted the belief that certain things should not have as much weight as they do anymore, whether they come to like tattoos, whether they be like piercings, whether they be like just regular casual wear. We look at CEOs now and it's almost like we laugh at individuals who are in the suit, because we're like, the richest individuals wear t-shirts and jeans, you know?
Exactly.
And we're just like, we could do whatever we want.
That's why it's the funniest thing in the world to me when I see shit like motherfuckers talking about, which this man's been like this since before the Def Jam days and before he met Russ and like whatever. But like seeing people like fucking Rick Rubin be on red carpets in he'll be on red carpets in potato shoes, like fucking basketball 100%. Shorts and a white t-shirt, because he's like, I've done the work. Mm-hmm. I am respected. Y'all know who I am. I'm not changing for nobody. And that's all it is. It's like, what can somebody offer and what can someone bring to the table? I can talk to 100 people in a row in suits, and I can talk to 100 people in a row that are just like in the hood or just downtown mobbing or just with people. And I promise you, the percentage of quote unquote good people that we find in them are going to look relatively similar, because you have to just have faith in human beings. But motherfuckers are always going to trust the niggas in the suit more, which is just perception. But once again, RIP to King Von. May God bless his soul, and may God bless the soul of all of the family and friends of the people that are still on this planet that have had to witness him transition in this untimely manner. And with
there's so many conversations to be even had in that whole realm and stuff that, to be fair, I feel like one day I'd love to have an open talk when it comes to knowing that you're knowing someone who passed before they can kind of like come to terms with things that have happened in their life, whether that be being involved in shit where they may have had to kill people, being involved in shit where they've had loved ones die, like all these violence, and being in all these like gray area conversations when you finally pass. Because I feel like that's something that, to be fair, if you're ever in a situation where you have to deal with that heavy of shit that early in life, I feel like in some realm life should try and carry you out to the end, years wise, so at least you could find peace with that before you pass. Because if you pass, like, and that catches you off guard, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then it's just random. Who knows what that conversation's like when all is said and done and you're gone. Like, regardless of what God you believe in and all this shit, I feel like that's just like some level of peace that people are able to find in themselves, and you're robbed of that by dying early. Exactly, dog. That goes into all of the questions asked, period. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the craziest things, because us as selfish human beings on this planet, just like people on the other side, of course we miss these people, and of course we mourn these people, even though, like, if you believe in a higher power, if you don't, everybody's got a time, right? Mm-hmm. And so just even away from tapping into spirituality, it's always interesting to see all of the books that were not closed, you know, all of the stories that were not finished when it comes to people that have transitioned in an untimely manner. And so once again, RIP to that man. We have one more RIP, which I wanted us to spend a little bit of time maybe giving personal anecdotes if we can about this person, because this is a legend. This isn't a kind of legend. This isn't a legend in only what he did. This is somebody that in the history of the United States, I would rank up there with anybody. Big legend for the touch he's had across the world. And that is Alex Trebek, passed. Oh my God.
Alex Trebek passed this week, 80 years young. And that was a gem of a human, man. Like, when we talk about the Mr. Rogers and like the people like that, Alex Trebek is somebody that was getting choked up on stage when dude like bet all of his money. You know how you have to like bet, and he bet all of his money to basically say, "We love you, Alex Trebek," like little stuff like that. Like, there was one moment this week that really touched me, because this was past my Jeopardy.
He be getting his jokes off too on like the low.
Getting his shit off, bro. Like, he's a funny nigga, bro. Niggas don't realize, bro, he's a funny nigga.
There was the dude who couldn't say like the obvious rap song. I think it was like a Meg song or something. Right?
No, it was
for an answer, right?
It was the bro. He said the lyrics to 6 Foot 7 Foot, and the nigga said Kanye West. And he looks at him like,
Are you sure that was
Bro,
the answer
my old
you're
ass
going with?
knows that's not Kanye West, bro. Like, that nigga was hilarious. And the one thing I will say, and give an anecdote that I saw from Twitter, actually, because this is something that honestly made me teary-eyed seeing, because we know so many people like this. Like, this was, he looks like, and I don't want to assume anybody's ethnicity, so I'll say Southeast Asian, right? He looked like a Southeast Asian male. And he was talking about how he wanted to hold for a second and give Alex his flowers and talk about the fact that a lot of people in other countries like learn English through shows like this. He said the reason he learned English before he even got to America, like, and you say this 360, like, full turnaround moment, like, as a kid learned English watching Alex Trebek, right? And then got to the point where he can be on the show. And now he's telling Alex Trebek about all of this stuff that he's done for people. He's somebody that I think, especially after the announcement that he was going through troubles dealing with cancer, that everybody on the planet has tried their best to give his flowers before his untimely demise. And it's just like...
And in some realm, too, he's 80. So, like,
it may be
I'm
time.
not trying to say, like, oh, it's about time or anything. Because come on now. If we could have had that man for 20 more, I'd love to see
Wish
it.
to have him for 20 more.
But at the same time, I'm happy that, again, he got to see a fulfilled life. Like, a full life. He got 80 years. The life expectancy for men isn't even that much. And the man had cancer, you know?
And it's crazy because I think about our childhood, bro. Like, there's so many shows that if I had to, like, if someone said, what are some Offer family classics, right? Like,
Bro, Jeopardy
Wife
was one
and
of
Kids, like, and all of these. Like, we have so many that were literally, like, sitting around as a family, we're going to watch this shit growing up. And Jeopardy was definitely one for our African-ass family. We'd be sitting there trying to guess the answers, trying to, like, figure shit out. Bro, I was sitting there, I remember my pompous, conceited ass. I saw the nigga that went on the longest run in Jeopardy history.
I remember Ken.
And I was sitting there thinking, bro... I could take this nigga
Hell
job,
no,
bro.
Hell no. He knew shit that just made no sense, bro. He had such a long run. They were begging somebody to take him down.
They're
like,
begging somebody to take this nigga down. They're like, bro, we already made you a millionaire. Go home. Like, you made so much bread off this shit. But, like, one thing, which is, I want to say, like, it's kind of dope just also seeing, too, like, the transitioning of the show, because Jeopardy isn't going to stop with Alex Trebek. I want them to. I know they're not.
To be fair, I don't think they should. Like, it's nice that he left such a big imprint on it, but
30 years in it.
But just because he was the blueprint for has the success that it got to, obviously, like, the people who came on too, but he was the host. He was the one running this shit. Just because he was that, it's nice to appreciate it, but it's like the passing of a torch. And I feel like Jeopardy is just all around show, just a nice basis for families and just young kids and just people in general who wanted to, like, partake in something where they can have, like, brain teasers or try and think back for some stupid trivia or whatever, and just, like, gather, like you were talking about, like us watching with the family.
Those moments are hard to replace.
It's nice being able to still have that platform, and who knows who the next Alex Trebek might be, who's the host of that shit and might carry it forth. Like, it's gonna be a cool opportunity to see the passing of the torch. And
he put on a career. In that show. He put in some time, boy.
I know they 30 in that.
30 in that.
I know he got paid.
Oh, of course, bro. My nigga lived well, bro. R.I.P. Yes, sir. Blessings and prayers out to the family. Condolences to the family. Love to the family. But motherfucking love to and shouts to Alex Trebek, man. Like, that is one of those names that's not a household name in America, bro. That's a household name in the world. Everybody knows who the fuck the Jeopardy guy is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows. And that even might be disrespectful saying the Jeopardy guy, because I'm sure everybody could at least say Alex. You know what I'm saying? You got other niggas from other countries, like he was talking about, that can't even speak English, that'll be like Alex Trebek. So once again, R.I.P. to that man, dog. R.I.P. to Alex Trebek. And then moving right along, this week we also got news. We are going to talk about the election next, so buckle up. But we also got news into, unless you want to...
I need to go into, like, one of the segments. Unless we get into everything.
You want to go into... Okay.
Let's take a little bit of a reprieve, because we've had a lot of somber news for y'all, but we also... This is the Offspace, you know.
Let's get
our shit popping.
Let's get our shit off then. All right. We have a section that some of you guys are familiar with, and it's only here and there sometimes, called Privilege or Poverty, okay? And so... privilege or poverty is self-explanatory. You can make it mean whatever the fuck you want to make it mean, to be honest. And I have 3 things I want to ask you privilege or poverty about.
And keep in mind, y'all, I'm not going to lie. I have no clue what he's about to ask me.
So first thing, Michael Kors.
Michael Kors is...
Don't disrespect.
everything on me right now wants to say privilege for all the young people that work so hard to get their first nice watch. It's poverty. It's poverty. You know why? Because the world con you into believing that you got to drop, even though it's not the most, you got to drop a couple $100s to get a starter nice watch type shit. That's big poverty, where you can get a nice looking watch for the 50, pocket the rest of your money, and go buy a little bit of stocks out there and go start the real privilege.
The funny thing
I think you're playing yourself.
With watch collections and people that really care about watches, the stigma around Michael Kors nowadays of being such broke people shit, which I'm not saying this lightly, by the way. My favorite watch I still own is a Michael Kors, and I don't even wear that shit. I haven't worn that shit in over a year now because my roommate roasted my ass about it. Yeah, nigga.
Bro, if you're that into watches, dog, but we're in the wrong conversation in general. Go talk with a nigga who has the money to invest in $1 million
in the big old boys, of course. But it's the funny thing is, like, there are certain things in Michael Kors price range too, so it's not even a price thing. Because like a lot of decent Michael Kors watches are like $250 to $350. Like they're nothing crazy. But there are certain watches in that range.
I had a G-Shock that much that I love more.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like there are certain watches in that range that motherfuckers will purchase and still be so much more respected than Michael Kors. I don't know what shift happened. Maybe because Michael Kors makes a lot of great value Rolexes. But it's like, once it got to, and I know that Rolex became so big in like hip hop and like the streetwear culture for a while that niggas was probably looking at them niggas as broke. But it got to a certain point that you see a woman with a Michael Kors bag, you see like a Michael Kors scarf, and you be looking like, and it might be expensive.
So
you know what I'm saying?
He didn't buy you the Birkin?
Nigga, I'm in H&M sweats and a fucking free t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? I can't judge you.
They're looking at you like, Shawty, he didn't buy you the Birkin?
He got you the Kors?
I feel like in some realm, obviously, it was popping at a point, right? But it's just old news, right? And everyone hates old shit until 10 years later when it's the new shit again.
Are we going to be alive to see Michael Kors be cool?
100%. 100%. It's just a cycle. And everyone who says otherwise is dumb.
All right, so next thing on privilege or poverty, Clubhouse.
Clubhouse is big privilege, you know what I'm saying? And as it's two of your upstanding individuals who are lucky enough, I mean 3 in this apartment building right now, to be on that platform. If y'all want to invite, talk to me.
No, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. That shit exclusive, nigga.
Talk to me. You might not get it, but you can start a conversation.
We're not giving that invite out to none of y'all niggas.
Look, keep it in the family.
Keep it in. No one wins in the family feuds. Niggas is talking about us like we're Rock La Familia or Rockefeller.
No, I'm not going to lie right now with the conversations that are being had on that app, in like the small rooms that they are with the people that are in there, being able to be as open as they are because of how small it is right now. I feel like that's a privilege because you might not ever, I say you because I'm going to get to the point where I have these or anybody. I'm determined. I don't care. I'm not trying to say that because I'm better than thou or whatever. I'm a hardworking individual who wants to see his wildest dreams come true. I will have these conversations when I want to with who I want to. That's not the issue, but most people are not going to have that case. So if you can get in it right now and be able to hear these perspectives, that is a privilege beyond any means.
And it's super dope while it's exclusive, to be honest, because it leaves comfort, right? Because you could be in rooms like I follow a lot of industry people on Twitter, right? And fortunately, a lot of them I've known for a long time follow me back when it comes to just like a communities and just being a part of social media for a while. But sometimes you can get lost in a world where you're not really interacting as much, you're not really talking about meaningful things as much. Cool. Even though most of the times I'd be doing this shit as an audience member, don't get me wrong, on Clubhouse, just sitting back and listening, just seeing people that have done things in industries that you care to be in a comfortable setting. And don't get me wrong, sometimes niggas industry it out and it's rooms you never want to be in. But when niggas are just chopping the shit or really dropping gems, dropping jewels, like I love being able to just be a fly on the wall and absorb, because these are settings that once this app gets unexclusive and people can get on are gonna kind of go away to a degree, because the
content's gonna change.
The content's gonna change.
It's gonna be better for some people in some aspect, but
you know the allure of exclusive, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people are super clout chasers and like this, that. So they're literally only on there because it's exclusive. But like, there's so much more you can get from that shit. So we never.
And I want to go on what you're saying because that's important, bro. I was in a room with like 15 niggas, bro. 15. And one of them was Metro Boomin. And you know what the room was? As a movie enthusiast, the room was solely dedicated to no industry shit on some, oh, let me show you my beats, Metro, or let me have you listen to a song. Like,
that's why they feel comfortable.
That wasn't the
because they could talk about anything. They don't have to get bothered about the shit they do.
The purpose of the room was to talk about movies. As a nigga who likes movies, hearing Metro Boomin cut off on the dumbest shit, The Sandlot, as well as other people in the room, and like, fuck, and I don't want to say fuck Metro, but past Metro, the other people were killing this shit. Hearing them talk on all these movies, hearing Tina ones where all this shit, it was just like a fun ass time. It was like being in a Discord call with random individuals talking about
and just hearing
random shit.
I love that, bro. Like, I was sitting here today just listening to like some of the people I fuck with, but even then, some of the people I really don't know. Like, I'm never gonna act fake like I'm cool with a bunch of these people in this. I'm really not. I'm a nobody. But it's just like, we'll be somebody someday. Don't forget that. But it's just like, when it comes to that, just seeing these motherfuckers debate stupid shit that me and you sit here and debate all the time. Whether it be like, I heard niggas talking about best Drake album today, or what album are you looking out for this year, or like, what's the best production only on an album, you know what I'm saying? And just giving different answers. And in my head, I'm answering these questions, and they're so different from anybody else's. And it's just knowing that we're all different and knowing people's perspectives and where they come from with certain shit. Because one nigga was speaking on the fact that his favorite Drake project was Take Care, but he realizes it may not be Drake's best project, and that's because of the place and time he was. He literally just went through a breakup. You know what I'm saying? So it was like he came at the right point. And so I love little stuff like that, little combos. So that's fun. But moving on to the last thing on privilege or poverty, Tiki Tango.
Tiki Tango is a privilege, my man. Especially inside of a... I'm about to air myself out right now, bro. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and I know how everybody feels right now with all this. Again, I've done a reflection room. We've talked on this in other podcasts. There's a way to have fun and be safe in a pandemic, so I'm not even going to talk on that. But having Tiki Tango as lit and as live and as much of a vibe as it is, even right now... It's a privilege to have, man.
I just know if I'm going to Tiki that weekend, I know I'm just not going back to Peach to see mom and dad for 7 to 10 days. Or just making sure that I'm negative before, because that's something else I want to harp on. Like, yes, Esgo does come out and he does hang out with us, but every single time you go back home, you get a test before you... I wear
a mask in my house, and I stay in my room, and I go only the necessary places, and then as soon as I can, I go ahead and I get tested, so I know when I'm negative, I could be around my loved ones again.
Exactly.
And then I go about my day. But sometimes I have to sacrifice a few days with my loved ones because I have to be a regular fucking person.
For your
sanity, I have to go catch the vibe that is...
You just have to be smart because, like you were saying, like, you take the necessary precautions, but you have to realize something. And this is something that I see on the internet. Like, truly, we're not in the middle of 2,000 to 5,000 people crowds where those motherfuckers are having those whole ass concerts right now, because that's a little bit nuts, and I get that. But if you're going out on a weekend, like during this shit, you have to realize that everybody going out, because people are like, bro, what about the people you put in danger, this is that
are out at that bar?
No, hold on. This is where I'm getting into. It's like, bro, like my Kroger's and Publix's and like the gas station and all the little shit that I do during the week, because for the most part, I literally just stay in my apartment and don't see anybody else other than the people I go out with. But like, even then, it's like, I wear a mask every time I leave my house. Every single time I leave my house. The only time I'm not wearing a mask is when I'm at those things, because guess what? Everybody I'm around are niggas that signed up for this shit too. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Like, that should be obvious.
And everywhere you go, everybody else in those regular settings wears a mask too. We've all seen the graphics, my nigga. 99% that's not gonna happen.
Like, let's just be real. But so you would say Tiki Tango's privilege?
Right now it is. I hope when all goes back to normal, it's still a vibe.
I hope it stays a vibe, bro. Just because,
like, I've never seen a place that has the outdoor setting for if you want to be like that has the chill like pregame spot on the other side of it if you want to just cool like lounge area pregaming. I've never seen the dance club on the bottom. Like, it's just everything.
Like, you could really social distance in there while a nigga is downstairs packed like sardines, like with ass on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, you choose your vibe and you choose whatever you want. So shouts out to you, because at the moment, I'll still put that place privilege. If it gets played out though, like we've seen a lot of places in Atlanta get played out, unfortunately, it will move to poverty. But at this moment, I'll keep it as a privilege. And then I have one more question for you. That's not privilege or poverty, because that segment is over.
All right, let's get
into
it.
So if you were placed...
Again, I don't know what he's about to ask.
So if you were placed in a situation right now, right, and Georgia Smith was sitting in front of you...
Bro, you gotta stop asking me these questions. I'm not gonna lie, because at some point I'm gonna have a conversation with her, and I'm not trying to refer back to every podcast.
So Georgia Smith is sitting in front of you, and she says, before we do anything sexual, you have to either suck my toes or eat my ass. Which one are you doing?
All right, I'm not gonna... To be fair with you, I wish I would have asked what the question was before we started, because I don't even want to answer this.
Wait, you sucking toes, dog?
No cap.
Said he's sucking toes quick, bro. Fresh out of the shower.
I'm eating ass before I suck toes.
Fresh out of the shower, you're not eating like suck. You're not sucking any toes. Fresh out of the shower, like you didn't get any foot grime.
Bro, let me be real with you. Okay, and this is no offense to anybody else, right? But we're adults now, right? We're in our 20s, we're grown-ups. Most people, at least I'm praying, most people at least wash their ass when they get out of the shower, right? A lot of people, because there was actually a conversation about this on Twitter, which blew my mind, and it was mainly white folk, I'm not going to lie to you, but still, it was a lot of people that said they don't wash their feet, like they don't wash certain areas in the shower because the water is touching it, what's the point? And it's just like, you know how gross the bottom of your tub gets if you're not washing that shit consistently? So literally, other than water, your toes and your feet are just planted at the bottom of this shit for the little water that can seep through. You want me to deep throw your fucking big toe and your fucking pinky and shit like that may have been scuffing up grime on the bottom of that shit. When I just saw you wash that asshole, I'm gonna lick that bitch. Like,
I'm gonna say something because the amount of thought that you put
way too much thought
into anything that has to do with feet. I have a general question for you. Do you have like a fear of feet?
Do I have a fear of feet? No. I don't have a fear of feet, but from a long time in my life, feet have been one of the most disgusting things ever. To be fair, with people...
Wait. Slow it down, Chief. Slow it down. The way you said that's matter-of-fact frame.
But no, I'm being dead serious, because I love pretty toes and pretty fingers and like hands and all that, like everybody else. Like, I love a girl that makes sure she keeps herself clean, make sure she keeps a nice set on, like all of that. Trust me, truly commend, and I know I praise all of the work women put in. But like when it comes to that area, bro, you of all people, even though you framed it a certain type of way, you know how off the wall random like my brain is. Like you said, you put a lot of thought into this, nigga. I put a lot of thought into useless shit. Like I put way too much thought into useless shit.
To be fair, that's how my brain works. Like I did put that man on the spot, knowing damn well that if it very well could have been flipped to me, I probably would have had a million scenarios for all these already planned out. I know how we are. But
I've been thinking about this, bro. I don't want to walk 1,000 miles in your shoes because a lot of people been walk 1,000 miles and then put their feet in somebody's mouth. Bro, you got me fucked up. Bro. So many people like to.
So scrubbed up the feet. The feet looking squeaky clean. You almost see, like, you know how people be doing like the little Instagram videos and all that, the filters, they got the little shine on it. So that's how the feet are looking coming out fresh out of the shower after they really got down and dirty to just get them clean.
Only in one way, because I'd have to ease myself into this, right? Because I'm not about to start the like gawk on the feet. Like,
yeah, first off, you don't have to, like, I'm not talking about foot fetish. And you gotta like try and deep throw some feet.
A lot of these shit I've heard from niggas is crazy.
That's other people.
But that being said, for me, you know what? First time on the pod, I'll admit it. I'll be 27 in January, so I gotta grow up eventually. I am not against sucking toes for a woman that really does something for, because there are some women on this planet that really do enjoy that. Only because of the fact. That's kind of weird, though. Only because of the fact that I heard of a certain move of when you got her legs up in missionary. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of niggas like to freak that into the dirty fish hook or into the choke stroke. But if you're not doing one of them, y'all know about the dirty fish hook.
For all my visual listeners,
if y'all don't know about the dirty fish hook, bro, y'all ask me about that later. I'll get into it. But like, if you're not doing one of those positions or a few of the couple things you can do to freak the missionary, sometimes you'll be making out, sometimes you'll be staring in the eyes. One nigga told me he was with somebody that really enjoyed getting their feet sucked, and he had her in missionary with her feet up, and he was sucking on her toes while fucking her, and she had an out of body experience. So if I met somebody that really loves feet, like they really like getting their feet fucked with like that, I'm all for it. I'm game. I'm with you, baby.
I don't want us to dwell on this anymore because I know we got a good conversation going around sucking toes, but it's just like, what sensory experience are you really capitalizing on from getting your feet sucked, from getting your toes licked, or any of that shit?
I mean, to be real, I don't know. Like, you have to think about it from the point of everybody's so different sexually when it comes to the spots that.
So it doesn't even necessarily, I guess, have to be a feeling that sparks it. It's just like the idea, thought, or something like.
It could just be the thought too, because you know that women are a lot better when it comes to, like, men are more visual, women are more stimulated mentally and like whatever. So the thought of a dude sucking her toes, right, may be enough to like help push her in that direction, because
she's like, oh, you're not doing this for everybody else. This is something that you're not doing this walking down the street. You can touch a girl's ass walking down the street, but you can't pause.
Just like
you're not really gonna be grabbing.
Just like you see
ass,
different things, like, you know,
obviously
aren't like real key spots, right?
Yeah.
Like that people will kiss on, whether it be parts of your chest or whatever, that instantly get you like, ooh, like you're ready to go. And so Yeah, we'll move on though. Like that's funny as shit though. This nigga. Oh, so you didn't choose one, bro. You sucking toes or you eating ass, bro.
He would
Georgia, look at you. You sucking toes or eating ass.
I'm not gonna lie. You gotta stop asking me these questions of people. I'm trying.
Nah, bro. Georgia, Kalani, bro. I'm putting all this nigga dirty laundry out there, bro. One of y'all is getting your toes sucked or your ass eaten by this nigga one day. So choose wisely. Which one?
My man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be honest in this moment with you. I ain't got a preference on either as long as they're both clean. It's just which one do you want, shawty? That's all that matters for me.
You know what this nigga is doing?
Tiptoeing in by
This nigga dancing around the fucking answer. It's okay though. We'll move on. Whatever. And so moving right along.
His ass, coach.
Moving right along, we have a couple bits of news, which by a couple bits, I want to get to the PS5 drop first because I know that probably the PS5 drop and the Portland information first before we get to the election stuff. But and so to talk about it, the PS5's actually out now, right? And so
I think,
or it's close to, or whatever.
Because I've seen like people streaming Valhalla.
Well,
right? So they can't be streaming that on like something else.
I'll say it's either out or we're in the dawn of being out, only because I say that like we don't have a laptop in front of me. But that being said, it's just like...
That shows you how little we both plan on getting in.
Yeah, like to be fair, it's just like, oh, the 12th of November, so it's about to be out
tomorrow.
Because I've been seeing a lot of people getting Xboxes, and a lot of people have gotten PS5s because we're kind of in the point of, you know how social media works, etc. With these companies. We've seen it with all of the brands, and now they're at that point of video game consoles because it's now been 5-6 years since a lot of these consoles have been re-up, where they're shooting it out to the tastemakers, like the influencers and like the people that are big in their industries, so that they can keep the hype up and keep getting shit popping. Like we've seen LaMelo Ball today, he just got an Xbox, like a lot of people with their name engraved, like the people that got the first round. And this nigga posted the Xbox, and then the very next story he said, but don't get it fucked up, shawty, still PS5 gang. Which is crazy. Imagine if you're Microsoft and you sent this nigga an Xbox and he put it on his story, the very next story is, don't get it twisted though.
Bro, because obviously in some realm they gotta realize this is superior console. And I haven't even played consoles in a minute. I just ride for PlayStation because Microsoft had me way too fucked up on several occasions.
That Red Ring shit really was one of the most was one of the first moments that me and Ezgo, and obviously I'm being dramatic because we've gone through a lot together throughout all of our years, but like one of our come together moments definitely had to be the Red Rings, because this was during a time that I got the Wii, you got the 360, and then the next Christmas you ended up getting the PS4, the PS3, so we ended up just having everything. But it's like during that time we were playing a lot of Smash and a lot of stuff on the Wii, and that's fine, but some of the most fun moments were the Xbox moments. So then this shit Red Ringed, bro, you should have seen us, bro. We were like mad scientists. I'm doing research, this nigga Ezgo trying to doctor the fucking Xbox. Like we're trying our hardest for weeks trying to fix this shit. We would get it to work for one day and we'd feel like, oh, we got this, and then wake up the next day, instant ringed again, just fucked up. These niggas was trying to play with a real nigga when it came to the return policy. I think I told the story and everything, because like the guy first off lied to me. I dealt with the most bullshit customer service because they just lied to me about my warranty. I called back my warranty. When I called back like a year later, because I was like, you know what, I got to give it another try. I was on some like, we got to make it happen shit. They were like, yeah, your warranty just expired like 2 months ago. I'm like, what? So what the first nigga told me, and then they were like, sorry man, you're just out of luck. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean I'm out of luck? And that's when I knew it just wasn't Team Microsoft, man. But fuck them niggas, bro.
Honestly, at this point, it's fuck both of them, because when you can do everything on a PC that you can do on a console besides the exclusive games, why would you ever go ahead and get like the console variation, man?
Exactly. So I feel you there. And then one thing I wanted to give a shout out to, and a positive thing with all of the news and bullshit we've seen going around in the nation, is Portland. I think it was Portland in particular. It may be all of Oregon. I don't want to, speak incorrectly there, so we'll just double down on it. Okay, it's Oregon. They decriminalized all drugs. And so that started so many memes, and people posted, so many people that have passed from drug abuse and like whatever, saying that's how their vacations in Oregon are about to look like. But the positive thing I want to take from it is, I want to do something for our listeners, because a lot of people don't like to do their own due diligence, their own research. Decriminalization doesn't mean things are legal. That just means that when they catch you, they're going to give you a ticket instead of 3 strikes and locking your ass up. They're taking a lot of the revenue that they've made from the legalization of weed too, because that is actually legal. You can go there and buy weed in a store. Motherfuckers were acting like because they decriminalized crack and shit like that you can walk up to the neighborhood bodega and get you some crack or something like for free. No. Like for the like no nigga. But One thing I want to point out, shouts out to them, because this is something that the rest of the United States should implement, is if you decriminalize these drugs, right, for users, obviously not for sellers is how they're doing it, you make it so that people that have a genuine addiction and have been going through something, right, don't have to also have the fear of going to jail. Because the fear of going to jail, what is that going to do? Someone's going to go to jail or prison. They're going to get out after a certain amount of time. They may change, they may not, but you're just going to put them through some hardships while they're dealing with addiction. What they're taking is the revenue, and they're putting it into rehabilitation so that, yes, you'll pay a fine, but instead of serving like X amount of time in jail, they're going to make you go to these rehabilitation centers that they're now funding with the revenue to get people better and actually do actual change.
You end up creating jobs, bettering the lives of everyday individuals.
Who would have guessed?
And making a system that can just be positive moving forth. Which, to be honest, I believe in the realm of capitalism, how we have it set up now, maybe isn't the best in how certain things work in the country, but I believe there's a systems where literally everybody can be a winner in a sense. Like everybody can come out feeling like the people were better taken care of, businesses are making good money, and everyone's not getting stepped on. It's just creating new jobs and things that actually matter and upholding better systems. But I saw a tweet that was kind of funny to me because it was like, who would have thought in 2020 drugs would be looking out back at the world like, damn, we really won the war on drugs. Like drugs really came out on top.
Niggas are shit for some of the tweets I saw, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna repeat them on here, but like some of y'all niggas was wilding. But definitely shouts out to Oregon, because that's so cool to me. I love the rehabilitation point too, just because like if we looked at like the crack epidemic, like we've looked at certain like the opioid epidemic that's currently going on, there's a lot of people there's a lot of people and families that have really been fucked up by this shit that are now going to be afforded a second chance due to systems like this.
And it's nice because obviously it's in Oregon and it's not the South, but I saw something recently that apparently Mississippi's taking measures to work towards the legalization of medical marijuana. And it's kind of inspiring because you're starting to see it crack the deep South. Like I'm talking the Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia types. And Georgia shouldn't be that far off.
We don't include ourselves because of this election. We don't include us with them niggas no more.
I want to, but we don't even have the legalization of medical marijuana.
No, still though. We blue though.
We blue. Bro, I'm not going to lie. The fact that Mississippi is taking the moves to get shit like this done, and Georgia still isn't, bro, that's a bad look, bro.
It's a bad look, bro. But I looked at a chart this weekend, which is something that, I mean, obviously, black people have been talking about for centuries that white people told us we were lying about, but has come back as true. Who would have guessed? That seems to be the story of 2020. But, like, one thing I looked at was them saying that, and once again, you know where we ride on terms of, if you're not pushing our people forward, I won't even just say our people. If you're not pushing the people forward in an effective way, we don't support you, Democrat or Republican. This is just for terms of conversation. That it's an interesting fact that a lot of these southern states are really blue states that are in disguise as red states due to voter suppression and a lot of things going on in the prison system, because they went on to
when it comes to like districting and voting and shit too, that shit's major, man.
And they went into looking just specifically to the people that have had their rights taken away to vote, etc., of numbers in Florida, in Mississippi, in Alabama, states that we've just deemed fucked because of how they rule and how they work, right? Like they looked at the numbers of like ex-felons, etc. Just once again, you know, the people that have lost their rights, and seeing the sides they vote on typically and like what they trend towards, and they added those numbers just hypothetically to elections, and a lot of those states flipped, which was interesting for me to see in terms of the fact that it shows that voter suppression is working. We've seen a lot of real, like our governor Ryan Kemp, like a lot of things. We've seen a lot of real situations that have touched us in terms of voter suppression working. But now we're now kind of uncovering the dirty underbelly of the fact that it's on a much larger scale across the United States than people wanted to act like it was.
I know, like when they come to the thought process that felons shouldn't have the right to vote, when they try and make it out to be why should someone who creates heinous crimes have the right to vote in like matters that decide how the common people live, and that argument just makes no sense when a lot of like, again, people who are in prison and become felons are in there for, again, the war on drugs. But past that, it's just the fact that felons should have the right to vote, man. I think when you look at certain things, no one's making a vote on whether or not murder should be legal.
Right?
No one's making a vote on whether or not, like, certain heinous crimes should be legal or should be, like, okay. That's never going to actually come into, like, something that should be at a vote.
Keep it a
It's
buck.
voting on shit that's, like, should drugs be decriminalized?
Keep it a buck.
Like,
keep it a buck. And one, to go off of what you were saying, bro, an ounce of weed is a felony. Like, once you get into an ounce or anything above an ounce anything above an ounce. So what if a nigga really rode up, finally saved some money, decided it would be economical for him to buy 29 G's. Like, his dude threw in a little extra.
He essentially, when he went to his dealer that was Sam's, you know, he decided he didn't want to go to his Walmart dealer anymore. He wanted to go to Sam's, wanted to buy in bulk.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, the man bought some marijuana for some medical usage, and all of a sudden, now he's a felon. That's
such a
crazy.
non-violent offender, like, whatever. And even if we want to go into it, bro, some of y'all
get mad at Cheech and Chong, bro.
Some of y'all Billy Bobs on Facebook that have the worst opinions I've ever seen in my life. I would much rather the guy that had an attempted murder case get out of prison and vote than some of y'all. Sorry. Like, let's just be real. Like, a lot of these niggas look at felons and they think they're subhumans because of some things that may have happened in your past when you don't know the true story and you don't know the depth of these things. But speaking of voter suppression and all of this stuff going on, I don't want to harp on it too much just because of a lot of the claims that have been made by the current president of the United States with everything. I just wanted to update you guys and say that Joe Biden is the new president-elect. He ended up winning the election. I think the current count was 290 to 214, and then it just kind of seized. The AP called it. Georgia ended up flipping. Pennsylvania. I
mean, they're still going to let all the votes
Nevada,
really come in and wait to finalize everything. But it's looking like Joe Biden has drastically gotten enough, like, votes for the Electoral College. Before, I know they're actually going to put their votes in. And to be honest, there might be some people that stray and, like, go rogue or whatever and end up casting their vote against, like, what
their states.
Against what they're expected of from, like, how people voted in their state. But I don't think there's going to be, like, 20-something odd number of them that end up going, fuck it, I'm voting for Trump. Like, that never happens, you know?
I'm just so proud. Like, I've said this not on the podcast, but obviously it's time to use our platform and say these kind of things. Like, it's not for the fact that it's a Democrat that is the president-elect, because that, honestly, like, hearing the word Democrat and Republican at this point kind of, like, pisses me off because of the fact of the real fact of the matter that none of these niggas have done shit for my people. And so I want to talk more about the fact that I think the youth have showed truly, the youth, minorities, women, like the LGBT community, a big shout out to them. I think we've all just shown that
we took power back from, like, old.
Exactly. We've taken our power back, and we don't care who it is in office as long as this person is pushing us forward.
And if they're not, then we're on their ass and it's on to the next.
And if they're not, once again, like you said, we're on their ass and we're moving forward, because this is what a lot of people, because I was so proud of Georgia for flipping blue. Don't get it twisted. Like, so proud of Georgia for flipping blue. But that's only because of the nigga that is in office currently. Like, if a progressive type, which seems impossible to a lot of people because of the fact of the sports team mentality where you look at all Democrats like this and all Republicans like this, but if a progressive Republican came in, right, and wanted to just push these policies, and Biden ended up doing nothing for the next 4 years, I promise you I'm voting for that.
So that's just it. I feel like this leads into a deeper conversation that we might not have time for on this pod, but I'm actually generally interested in, because it feels like the direction of the country when it comes to voting and how much, like, the youth is active in voting now, and I say, like, progressive youth and people who want real change made socially in certain ways and circumstances. I'm excited to see how the two-party system kind of changes moving forward in the next decade, is specifically the Republican Party, because a lot of the platforms that is the basis for their party are outdated now, and majority of people aren't really writing for. So if you want to have a chance of putting a representative for your people in office, you're going to have to kind of update these and kind of reestablish what your platforms are. So I'm excited to see what new Republican candidates might be, because, again, I'm not somebody who claims either party. So if there's a candidate that I feel is better suited for the people, I'm going to vote for them. But at the same time, I feel like this can also lead to the dismemberment of both parties and give rise to a better system where it's just individuals that aren't as represented from just two sides of, like, the country having an opportunity to stand up and lead the country in a direction that's just for the betterment of the people, all people. Exactly. And so that's exciting to see.
And I love exactly where you're going with that, just because we're now watching a new, like, there are still a lot of sheep on both sides. Like, there's still a lot of people. Obviously, we have a big problem with this two-party system and the sports team mentality. We've gone into that. But it's interesting for me just because, like you were saying, we're watching, like, the youth create new identities because of a lot of these outdated things that these parties represent and use as their main platforms. Like, using friend of the show and somebody that identifies as a Republican, but believe it or not, a lot of Republicans think that fucking Trump's an idiot too, just like Democrats do. That's the craziest thing to me, when people see somebody's a Republican and instantly think they're a shitty person. It's like, no, that's not the truth. But like using somebody whose ideologies and somebody that's character we can attest to, like a Casey. Like if a Republican like Casey, like mentality wise, was running for president, I would vote for that nigga all day, because of the fact that I can attest to the kind of character they have. You know what I'm saying? And that is important, because character is going to push these problems forward. Character is going to be the person that is sitting down willing to listen to whoever, right, that they may not understand and they may not see their point of view and see this, see that from, and be able to pick and choose, you know what I'm saying, the things that they implement and bring into them that are going to push the government forward. Because it doesn't have to be Republican, it's Democrats too. Because we talk about like the new age ones, and I've sung her praises, and a lot of people think she's way too left for them and whatever. And I'm not talking about policy when it comes to this person, but I'm just talking about outreach and the way they touch the people. It's like seeing the new age Democrats, like a lot of them are, once again, we're talking about outreach, touch, and whatever the fuck, is like an AOC. Just using her as an example too. Like, I love seeing this new gen, and I love seeing the changes that they've made, because you see, even in AOC, like, she called out within the last 2 days, like Biden, there was somebody that was being announced for that was rumblings of, and that they could be a part of Biden's cabinet, or somebody that is close to that presidency. And she instantly called it out and said, Democrats aren't going to stand for that, because we know how fucked that person used to be, or we know this, or we know that about that person, and that person's a Democrat. It's people like her in that way that are going to change each party. Because if you stop giving a fuck about red, you stop giving a fuck about blue, and you start giving a fuck about what you believe in and how it's going to push people forward, then you're going to be able to keep people accountable. And that's something we sing every single week, is keeping people accountable.
The important part of what you're saying is the fact that underneath both sides, regardless of which one you believe is the right for the moment, because right now I don't believe in a pandemic that a lot of conservative ideals are what's right for the people. That's just like my views on it.
Agreed.
But regardless of what you think, the underlying thing about both sides is that they have a system that they believe will help essentially the people and the country move forward in some fashion. And so as long as you have a good person of character representing those ideals, you'll be able to see systems come into place that are made for the betterment of the country, but with the people in mind underneath. And I feel like that's the important part to take from that.
And that was the big part of this election, like, to be real, like, because we have somebody in office currently, which, independent of their party, is just, you can't really call their character for good or for bad. And mainly the way that it's shining, it looks like for bad. And that's because, yes, there are people of the belief that he doesn't believe any of the shit he's saying, and he's just saying it for selfish reasons. But a lot of the rhetoric that you use, your verbiage, all of that matters so much, especially in a time like social media, right? Where we're all so close and we're all so connected, because
we're in a globalized world, man.
You see how divisive this shit can be. You shouldn't speak a certain type of way. You shouldn't talk a certain type of way. People call it real. They call it this. They call it that. That's not real, though. Like, the way that I use my platform, right? Like, when it comes to the Offspace, I use my platform as responsibly as I believe I can. I get called out every single week for something from one of my friends, and I use that as a way to edit how I act if I deem fit to move forward, because you're supposed to be able to take criticism. You're supposed to be able to take people, you know, that are trying to keep you accountable so that you can be your best self. What more do we want from people in this country, especially Trump? Like, I want to be real with y'all. For 4 years, I've been begging this nigga, you know what I'm saying, to do better in certain ways, because I want him to be a great president. I want to love President Trump. I want to think that he's an outstanding person. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, they were harping back on McCain's speech where he conceded defeat and he knew that Obama was the person that ended up winning. And however you may feel about Senator McCain, RIP to that man, that one, like, certain things he was saying were absolutely true. It's like you may disagree with certain people, right? But as long as your heart's in the right place for the progression of the people of the United States, that's all that should matter. And so taking those words, I truly hope that with Joe Biden coming into office and Kamala Harris as his vice president, I want to speak about the positives here. I want to speak about the positives because that's something we should use our platform for. One is, you guys have heard me say many things about Kamala Harris on this podcast. And one thing I want to go ahead and say is that is a beautiful black woman. And so her being a beautiful black woman, that's two denominations of people that now have somebody that has reached the highest office in the United States, whether it be president or vice president, whatever, is going to be sitting in that White House, going to be living in that White House, and is going to be an important player in the ongoings in the United States that little girls of all races can look at and say, I see that. And that is a possibility for us. Man. That's inspiration. And black women in general can look at and say that we have all of the statistics. We have all of the numbers. We are the most educated group in this country. We are this, we are that, and we are still demonized the highest. We are still played with the most for show when it comes to their bread, paid the least, like all of this. You can look at the numbers if y'all want to look at charts yourself, and we can now see that somebody was able to rise above that and make it to that highest office. So regardless of how I may felt in her past, and I will try my best to continue to keep her accountable, just like we're going to always continue to keep Biden accountable, just like we've tried to keep Trump accountable, just like we fucking kept Obama accountable, because you're supposed to keep these people accountable. We're going to continue to do that. But that being said, I want to sing praises there, and I want to sing praises to Biden for the calm that a lot of people are feeling, because yes, we still have 70-something days to go, right, before Trump is supposed to get out of office. And there's still so much tension and there's still so much bullshit we've seen. But a lot of people that have been able to exhale, a lot of the LGBT community, that their rights were right on the docket. A lot of women that their rights were right on the docket. A lot of people that were watching their rights currently being fought against, that now are able to sleep better at night knowing that an administration is coming in that at least says, we have to see what they do, but that at least says that they are going to take care of those people, can now rest easy at night, and that is positive.
And that's super. I'm not about to harp on that with some pessimistic shit. I'm not gonna lie. I was about to say some stuff, but
we can't be pessimistic now. We just have to be hopeful.
Yeah, because that's what all I was gonna say is, like, at the end of the day, it's still being real to the fact that there are more factors at play. So, like, even if these people, you have to bear with these people a little bit, especially for the long haul of the duration of the presidency, and like seeing what the cabinet members try and do. Because at the end of the day, there's more. Our country's run more than just on, like, the executive branch.
For sure.
Like, there's still the legislative, there's still the judicial, there's still
big race, January 5th, all of our Georgia listeners, for the control of the Senate majority.
Mm-hmm. There's still a lot more factors at play here. So it's like having patience with people to see if plans that we're talking about are actually getting implemented, or at least being attempted to be implemented, and what are the obstructions, where do you need to fix, where do you need to correct. It's just like being patient and staying observant on all of that. And I feel like, especially now, I can't say that. I'll say this. I know even during Trump's presidency, like, we're not still going through it until January something. Even all within his presidency, I know a lot of people have been like, not my president, or,
that was our president.
Fuck this country and all this. It's like, no, man. Like, my parents worked way too damn hard to come to America. Like, I'm proud to be an American, as whatever that might come off to certain people. Like, this is where I grew up. This is where I'm probably going to die. This is where my life has been. This is where my life will be lived. On all the opportunities presented me, all the loved ones, all the friends, everything that's going on. And for me to just kind of turn my back on that and just to be like, man, fuck this place because a shithead was in office for 4 years. Like, that's still the president. You still try and work with him. You still try and get things done. And he's shown that he doesn't want to be worked with. And his presidency's coming to an end. I'm just happy that after seeing Joe Biden have the opportunity to become president-elect, the fact that when I saw that, I'm not somebody that generally gets choked up over the president. Like, even Obama's presidency didn't really hit me. I was a kid, though, to be fair. I was kind of upset. I said that nigga stole my dream of becoming the first black president. So if anything, I was kind of irate. But past that, it was feeling a general sense of, like you were saying, relief. Like, man, I'm not always am I happy to be an American, but in this moment, I feel hopeful for America, and I'm truly, truly, truly happy to be an American. And I hope everyone who lost faith is also happy and remembers what it means to, like, be able to have a say in your democracy, be able to have a say in like your leadership, be able to have a say in like the trends of what might go on like and happen in your country moving forward. And so it was a nice moment.
And exactly, and these will be my final thoughts on this, and this is something I've said 100 times on this podcast, and I will say every motherfucking time until this shit gets drilled into people's heads. So y'all can suck my dick if y'all have heard this from me 100 times. One, I want to say that once Hillary Clinton lost in 2016 and President Donald Trump became the president-elect, and we knew in January that Obama was going to be passing the keys to that nigga, the first thing that happened for me was, okay, we are here now, like everybody fucking else should have done. We are here now. It's not going to be tell this nigga to suck my dick for 4 years. It's going to be hope for the best and hope that this man does good. Okay? There's a lot of situations where he did not. There's a lot of situations that he fell short. There was a lot of hateful rhetoric. There was a lot of bullshit that he pushed forward. And there was a lot of division that he caused in this country that was really just him being the fire to the gasoline that has been poured on this country for 400 fucking years, to where all of these 70 million people went out and voted for Donald fucking Trump after all of the shit that they've heard him do for these last 4 years. It's not like 70 million people gave him a chance and then said, oh, he didn't do the best, let's try someone else. No, they heard the shit and intentionally decided that we are still going to vote for this person and this is still our guy. One thing I have to say whenever I get a chance to is, just like I was hopeful with Donald Trump, unlike everybody else that I knew that wanted to be the most hate this man, oh, that's not my president, that's not this. No, that was our president. That's still currently our president, and that is going to be our president till January 20th. So now speaking to the other side, now that President-elect Joseph Biden, he is going to be our president in January. He will be our president. Y'all need to suck a dick, get over yourselves, realize that it's over with, and continue moving on. Just like, that's what I'm saying to Republicans, just like Democrats have to get over their fucking selves and quit acting like this sports team bullshit and realize that, yes, we won, let's move forward and let's see where we go from here. Because the most patriotic thing we can do, and this is the 100th time, the most patriotic thing we can do is be fucking critical of these people, vote in our local elections, and make sure that our voice is heard. Because for like X amount of years ago or whatever the fuck, when the United States was found and we became a country in 1776, right? All of our forefathers and all of those people, they lived in a different time. There was a different mentality. There was all that going on. But guess what happened? Our forefathers decided to throw that tea into the harbor, to do all of this shit that they were doing, because they tried to hold these niggas accountable and nothing was happening. They were just ignoring them and just pushing it forward. So now we've come so far in the United States where we've watched history repeat itself, where the powers that be have just kind of ignored the people and continued pushing the status quo for so long that we are forced to hold them accountable in whatever way we see fit. And so always remember that, regardless of who's in office, because that office don't matter as much as y'all think it does. It's all the other little shit that y'all ignore, except for every 4 years till we get to a president, and then it becomes a big talk about politics. Politics matters on every level, and it always matters to keep these niggas accountable. So remember and always fucking do that.
Exactly. Like, that's perfectly said, man. I feel like I don't want to harp on it much longer, but it boils down to not getting lackadaisical just because your guy didn't make it into office. Stay on everybody's ass and make sure that in the meantime they're actually doing what they're supposed to, because as soon as you start this lackadaisical mentality of not my president and I don't give a fuck till the next four when I vote for the one guy because of the color that he represents, red or blue, you're gonna perpetuate a system of whoever is in office being in office not doing shit for the people because they know you're not going to give a fuck till the next election cycle, and then they're going to try and rile you up like, I care about you. Stay on their ass the whole times. But I know we got a little bit more to get into, or was that it? Because
basically it, just because I was going to say I wanted to wait till next episode so we can wait for more news on this one, right? But one last thing I had to say, since there wasn't much sports news that I cared about other than the NBA and the NBPA coming together and making it finalized that the start of the next season is going to be December 22nd, and that
draft's coming up.
And they changed it so that the draft's coming up November 18th, I believe. And they made it so that free agency, because free agency was going to start a little bit later, which is weird because it's December 22nd, but they made it so that free agency can start literally right after the draft. So that once the draft is over with, we can just start to see some of the moves. Again, so we have some good news coming within the next week or so. So that's basketball. In soccer news, João Felix bicycle kick was one of the most nuts things I've ever seen. I know that was just something to kind of mention, but it's just like, if you care about soccer, if you care about the beautiful sport of football, like, please go to your YouTubes and search the João Felix bicycle kick attempt, because that was like the John Morant posters that haven't happened yet on some like all-star crazy shit. Like, this nigga,
that's the one that you put on a poster even if it didn't finish.
Bro, I'm telling you, like, if this shit went in, it would have been goal of the decade. Goal of the decade. The goal of the past decade for sure. Goal of the current decade for sure. Like, this is one of those goals that was so fucking nasty. That was one of the, you had the gall to do this goals. Like, the fact that that's young cheekiness. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is something that the youth is going to bring. You know what I'm saying? On somebody that really, because you're not stuck in your ways, nothing. Because we've all seen bicycle kicks as people that have played this sport. Like, most of the times when you see a bicycle kick, it's always like a fall back into and then hit it. This nigga watched.
This man did some Karate Kid. I'm gonna turn and try and flip. Do it like.
This nigga swore he was a Ninja Turtle.
100%.
This nigga saw the ball coming, twists his body as he's watching the ball, jumps in the air to do some ninja back side kick, and barely. Bruh, that shit was so nasty. So if you care about sports in general, please watch that shit. Yeah. But that's all I had to say.
I don't really have much football news. You know, I got to ride for my Saints.
New Orleans Saints, you're
beating the shit out
the Buccaneers. We're gonna see the number one. We're about to be the number one seed in the NFC South. Fuck the rest of them niggas. I don't care what the fuck y'all talking about. The Falcons suck dick. The Panthers suck dick. The Buccaneers are buccaneering, and guess what? That means sucking dick. We are going straight to the top of this division, nigga. So, Saints all day.
Without further ado, though.
Who that? We that, nigga.
Yes, sir. You already know we're gonna leave it up on the up. This is the Offspace. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Yes, sir, Ski.
Let's go, man.
Let's get it. Yeah.